And then we slowly bring our hands towards our heart. Hands on prayer pose. And just for a moment, long, deep breathing. Breathe into your heart center. And then we tune in with 3 arms. Inhale deeply. Inhale. Suspend your breath for a moment. And then we exhale. I'd like you to open your eyes and have the side of your pinkies touch the tip of your ring fingers, the tip of your middle fingers, and then connect your index finger, the pointer finger, with the tip of your thumb. And you keep this mudra in front of your solar plexus and heart center, right in between. It's actually a mudra that enhances our intuition. And the pranayama, the breathing exercise we want to do this morning is very simple. It's called the 4-count breath. So everybody has a different capacity to inhale for the length or exhale. So I want you to find your length. Maybe you can count to 3 on the inhalation. You hold for 3, you exhale for 3, and you hold the breath out for 3. Yeah, for some it's maybe 5, for some it's 10, for some it's 20. Yeah, whatever the number is, stay with that number, because the breath needs to feel really comfortable. There should be no pressure, no stress at all. So whatever you feel like the number that resonates with you, you will inhale for that amount, you hold for that amount of numbers, you exhale, and you hold the breath out. And that's all we do in this mudra for a few minutes, just to bring really balance into our body. And while we do this, increasing our intuition by holding this mudra. The side of your pinkies touch, the tip of your ring fingers, the tip of your middle fingers, and index finger and thumb are touching. And then close your eyes again. Tune into the number of counts that will work for you, and start your breathing, your conscious breathing, just for a few minutes.
City, you're muted.
Okay, I'm back. Can you hear me again? Okay, so sorry, somebody muted me. Okay, just a few more times, and then we go into 4 rotations, only if it feels right to your neck. Yeah, go very gently. Big rotations. Reverse the direction. And then slowly come to center. So in the yogic tradition, intuition is always associated with our 6th energy center. And especially in Kundalini Yoga, we love to connect the heart with the intuition, because we always say, if these 2 are connected, you can't go wrong in life. Yeah. So the heart can lead the intuition, and the intuition can lead the heart. So I want you just to bring your palms together, interlace all fingers, pinkies touch, index fingers touch, and the tip of your thumbs. And then you separate the heels of your hands. The thumb tips touch towards, they face the heart. You inhale and you bring your thumbs up towards your 3rd eye. You exhale back down towards your heart. Inhaling up. Exhale, open mouth towards your heart now. Inhaling up. And exhale down. Consciously connecting your heart with your intuition. And just keep moving your arms up and down. You know, intuition is seen as the highest rung of the ladder of consciousness. When we look at instinct as the first one, intellect as the second one, and intuition as the highest. And all 3 words starts with in, because they're inbound. Good, keep up. Last 3. And then inhale, bring the tip of your thumbs towards your 3rd eye. Bring your elbows a little closer out to the side. Now open your fingers so that just the index fingers and the thumbs are touching. You reach forward. You look in between this triangle. You exhale towards your 3rd eye, making palms together into prayer pose. And you touch your 3rd eye. So I open into the triangle, look through the triangle, see my reality. Inhale, I close my eyes. Sorry, inhale out. Exhale towards your 3rd eye. Inhale. Strong breath now. Through the 3rd eye, we can see the unseen and know the unknown. But so often we get taught not to trust that. So we have to reclaim our ability to trust our intuition. Deep breath. I want you to breathe as powerfully as you can so that Sarah can wake up. Good, last 3 of these. Good, and keep your hands into prayer pose. Touch gently your third eye. Just bring all your energy here. Now inhale deeply, suspend your breath, pour your perineum, sex organ, navel in and up. Squeeze the energy from the base of your body all the way up to your third eye. And hold it there, concentrate here just for a few seconds. And then we exhale, we let go, we rest our hands onto our knees. We turn our torso to the left. And now I just want you to bring your forehead to your left hand. Exhaling down, inhaling up, twist, exhale right. Inhale up, twist, exhale. Now your third eye is bowing towards your center of trust. Because trust is so needed to follow our intuition. Where there is no trust, there is no ability to listen to what our intuition tells us. Here again, deep breath. Open up your lower back. Create flexibility within you. One more time to each side. And then we come to center. We place our left hand onto our heart, our right hand onto our forehead. Inhale through your nose. And exhale, open mouth. Inhale, nose. And exhale, open mouth. One more time. And then we gently relax our hands onto our knees, preferably your palms stay open, facing upward. And we bring our attention to Nirmala.
Thank you, Siddhi. So I'm sure you all have guessed that our theme today is intuition. It wasn't too hard to get. It was beautiful, Siddhi. So I want to first, before we begin on that, to just spend a very brief amount of time on our Fragrance of Joy toolbox. So about 15 of you very brave souls have found your way in. It isn't always so simple with this technology, but you have managed to get registered. And we've started posting many interesting videos, personal and more sort of universal. And I invite each of you to take the journey into the process of signing up. I'm going to include the instructions at the bottom of the email, the weekly email, so that those who have done it don't have to plow through the instructions. But if you haven't, then you'll find the instructions at the bottom of the email. Weekly, we're going to be posting things, Siddhi and I, and several others. I think that Laura is going to be contributing our integrative health tip for the week, will be posted there. And it's also a great place to make contact with other members. All of the members who have registered are listed, so you can make contact directly with them. So I encourage you to try from this week's email to get in contact. It's one more way we can connect with one another in a personal way, so that the strength of this circle and the intimacy of this circle grows. The more we know about one another and our journey, and we contribute to one another's process, and however we can do that, and just in supportive or in suggestions or resources. As I listened this morning to the conversation before we started our regular program, I was intrigued by how many of you are redoing your homes, and how many of you I know are in the interior design process that are in this group. So there's a lot of creativity that's happening, I'm sure in many different ways, but happening in your home. And that's such an interesting thing. So where's our home? Where do we find home inside of us? And what's our external home? And how do we create that and support that and sustain it? So it's an interesting thing to look into. So just making an observation. Today we're going to talk about intuition, because intuition is one of our portals to joy. So if we want to be revealing this joy that we're speaking of, this fragrance of joy in our lives, one way that we can have a very significant entree to it is through our intuition. So I'm sure that all of you are intuitive on many different levels. I'm certain of it. Those of you I know you are, and those who I don't, I suspect you are as well. And so how do we look at that as being a portal, not just an interesting gift we might have, and how do we develop it? So there are several different ways of us experiencing intuition, and you may be intuitively drawn to one, but there's a possibility that you actually have a lot of acumen in more than one, and that you could develop that in several ways. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I call it intuitive living, because it's not just intuition. So many people assign the concept of intuition as a little bit, it's outside of scientific dogma. It's outside of the what we understand as being absolute until it happens. And then we go, well, that was absolute. I thought it happened, and there it is. But outside of that, people still look at intuition as being a little bit flaky. That it's not, you shouldn't live your life just according to it. And I think that that is completely wrong. I think Siddhi's comment about our intuition, our heart, and our third eye being connected that's the place we really live from. And that's where what I call intuitive living. It's not to say we don't use our mind and our brain, but we operate more of the time out of our intuitive wisdom. So why would we do that? Well, one of the things that we want to do is to align with the resonance of the planet and the universe we live in. The more aligned we are, the more we have a thread from this universal wisdom. We can connect to this thread. And I once had a conversation with my teacher. He was doing a book tour in the United States, and I was traveling with him. And he asked me on the eve of this trip, this tour, how successful do you think this will be? And I started laughing, and I said to him, well, you're the guru, for God's sakes, you tell me, like, how am I supposed to know that? You're supposed to be all knowing. And he said, no, it's not like that. And I said, well, what do you mean? And he said, it's just a frequency. And when you have tuned yourself to that frequency, anyone can know interesting pieces of information about, like, how is this book tour going to go? You'll have an intuitive knowing, which will guide you to adjusting as the tour or as the event unfolds. You'll be guided to make the necessary adjustments for it to come into its fullness. So he said, you have to get tuned in. That's what you have to do. And of course, from his perspective, that's a sadhana. So it means meditation, and it means certain breath work. And he has his way, his Vedic understanding of that. But there has been much written about how do we get into our intuitive nature more profoundly and consistently. How do we stay in that space? So one of the things is to start noticing how much intuitive wisdom and guidance you're getting already. So I would love it if all of us did some sort of a recording this next week in a little notebook or on a index card or on your notes in your iPhone, wherever, when you had an instinct, an intuitive sense to do something and you followed it and it worked, or you didn't follow it and you later thought, oh, I should have done that. I thought about it, but I didn't really trust it. And to write down what is the nature of that intuitive knowing. So there are 4 basic ways that intuition comes through us. One is clairvoyance, which is you'll be seeing visions or colors or pictures, things that most people aren't seeing in a situation become like a little bit of on a screen in front of you. And you have you see it for an instant. Another way is clairaudient, that's hearing things. You might hear a sound, or you might hear a voice, or even music, something that you go, oh, it's very subtle. It's like the fragrance idea. It's so subtle that you almost have to hear it or see it or feel it through your peripheral vision. You can't look straight onto it because it's so subtle that the minute you try to bring it into focus in any way through any of your senses, it moves. So intuition is very subtle. The third way of main general category of intuition is clairsentient, and that's feeling things in your body. So those of you who are very body oriented, you might feel it in your gut, you might feel it in your heart, like something, a small trigger goes off and you go, ooh, ooh. And that's just a sign to you about something that's happening that needs to be rearranged or be reevaluated. So this week, take the time to just notice how you're getting information. Is it through your senses? Is it outside of the senses in another knowingness that you can't pinpoint? And jot down when it happened and how that related to outcome. The signs around us, people say, well, everything's a sign. Well, maybe it is and maybe it isn't. Hindsight's always beautiful. Of course, in hindsight, I can find lots of correlations, whether they're accurate or not. But one of the things about intuition is that it's an alignment with the universe. So the universe has it came in out of chaos, out of orderly or disorderly chaos. The universe came into being, and the universe has an order. And a lot of that order, which the seen order that we understand, is the physics and the science. We know that if you do this, this causes this effect. And it's scientific, it can be proven, and it happens every time. But there's also an order that's just outside of the seen or the sensory that can be measured. It's another order, another layer to how it is that our universe is organized. And the same rules that apply in the seen world also apply in the unseen world. They may not be articulated the same way because it's a different dimension, but there are rules, laws of cause and effect that work. So you can't move into these higher dimensions and think you can just do anything and it works. The same subtlety and the same cause and effect will show up in your life. So the question becomes, how do we recognize this order that's happening in the dimensions that we're not even necessarily conscious of? So some of the signs that happen to us to let us know we're in that have to do with these intuitive ways of the clairsentient or the clairaudient. These different ways of getting information can be coming from this seen world, but it may also be coming from the unseen world. So we have to start listening to all those layers of information. And we have to understand that they're even, how to say this so it's, in our experience as humans, we tend to categorize things in our mind as opposites: good, bad, happy, sad, pretty, not nice to look at. We separate, we cause this separation of experience to happen by labeling. And it's not a deficiency of ours. It's our brain's way of being able to handle so much information. It needs to put things into little boxes, into little filing cabinet. And so our mind automatically does that. But the truth of the experience is that it's neither one nor the other. It just is. So by giving language to it, we automatically dismiss certain things about experiences, and we dismiss a certain order in the universe. So we will say something unfortunate is actually not in the natural order, but that's probably just not true, because the natural order is so much bigger and more subtly layered than we can understand. In our microcosm of how we're seeing it, we only see the surface of it. So part of our training to use our intuition is to stop giving judgment to the incoming information. Then we open ourselves up to being able to be in the rhythm of the greater universal synchronicity. So some people say, everything in my life is so synchronistic. And I think, they must be pretty tied into the movement of the universe, the movement of our planet, so that things are happening and they're noticing. So I always think it's not as though something just happened and it's synchronistic. It's happening all the time. I'm just not noticing. So I have a friend of mine who's our age, my age, and she was raised in Latin America. And her father was some deputy, I'm not sure the exact title, of education in this country. He was high in the political ranks of this country. And he had been trained as a parapsychologist. So she was raised in that world, to see beyond. She saw beyond what was seen into the unseen, because he taught her from a very early age that that's as normal to see as the concrete things you see around you. So she didn't question that. And so she went through her life and she grew up, and they ended up moving to the United States, and she became an intuitive, or she was an intuitive. She didn't become that, she was that. Her intuitive nature was so honed and so nurtured as a child that as an adult, that was just natural to her. But in our culture, we tend to wean out the things that are a little less concrete. So I know most of you aren't doing that. You're already inviting in this sort of work. One of the things that makes me recognize the completion or the beauty of the universe is that Dr. Emoto's work with water droplets, little bits of water. I don't know if any of you have seen it. I posted this morning a short video on the toolbox, just to entice you to go onto the toolbox. But he did a study, a Japanese scientist who did a study on droplets of frozen water. And then he would have people pray upon the droplet, or scream angry words at it, or listen to symphonic music, or listen to rap music, or he just tried many, many different energetic influences that would come through sound, or also through mind, just through prayer or thinking about it. And then he would, under this very strong microscope, look at how the droplet of water would change in its constitution. What was its form? And you have to watch this video, because the water naturally, healthy water, clean water, wants to go into this sort of star-shaped formation, really beautiful. But when things are happening to it that are disruptive, not even touching it, just in its space, it changes what its formation is. And it's up to you to judge if you think that the new formations are better or worse, but it's changing. So we know, because we're, whatever we are, 78% or 80% water, that of course, if somebody is screaming at us, or if we're hearing something that's very disruptive, it would be natural that we would also have some sort of an impact on our internal world and on our intuition. So this is why we look at how it is that we create our world around us, how we structure things so that we're making it most conducive for us to have an intuitive experience, to have intuitive living be our natural state, that we don't have to go into it, that it becomes the way we live. So we're going to talk more about this next week, because there's so many little tips around this. But I would just like for this week for you to pay attention as to where your intuition comes into play, and any outcome, if there has been, and what what vehicle, what portal did it come through? Was it a sight? Was it a sound? Was it just a deep knowing? What was it? How did it present itself to you? So that we can use this as part of our training to understand where we are already heightened and where we can go with this. Because opening up the intuitive valve to our system is it's like opening up the water hose for the fire truck. Your joy will just through you because it comes naturally on the heels of intuition. It's very present there. So that's all I'm going to say today about intuition. I want to see your little notes on the toolbox, please. Namaskaram.
Good. Beautifully. Thank you. Okay, I would like for us to go back, making sure we really sit comfortably, maybe making sure our spine is a little bit more erect. Yeah, and you can sit, with a chair, you can lean on to something. Don't get uptight about that you have to sit cross-legged or anything. Just if you sit on the chair, make sure please that your feet are touching the ground. That will be helpful. And this morning I decided we will come back to the mudra. So maybe, so side of your pinkies, tip of your ring fingers, tip of your middle fingers, thumb tip to the tip of your index, the pointer finger. And we just stay here and we close our eyes again. My teacher always said it's in the silence that you can hear the answers to your questions. And it's when we practice a lot of silence, then we also create the foundation for more ability for us to listen to our intuition. It's often our busyness that overrides the intuition. So this morning I'd like you just to let your fingers do their work. And then you come back to the count of numbers that work for you. Doing your inhalation, suspending your breath, exhalation, holding the breath out. And maybe now it's a different number, or it's the same number, or it's a lower number. I just invite you to sit and breathe and be. Becoming a channel and an open space for more consciousness. And this morning, I will leave the music running, so if you still want to sit, after we later on say goodbye, and you do that. And in this me space, be present to the we space. We're tuning into ourselves, and we are tuned into each other. Slowly take a deep inhalation. And on the exhale, bringing our hands into prayer pose. Regulating our breath. Imagine each other's breath. That my exhalation becomes your inhalation and vice versa. And then we tune out with Aum Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Emanating the fragments of peace out into the world. Inhale. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Nirmala and I wish you a wonderful weekend, great week. Namaste. Who wants to continue sitting? I will keep the music going and you can sit in silence. Thank you for joining this morning.